It was a cold evening, and I lay in bed feeling weak and tired. My husband, Brian, walked into the room with a strange look on his face. Smiling faintly, he said, "You know, I only married you because your dad owns the company. Nothing else." His words hurt more than anything I've ever felt. I glanced at the sweater I had knitted for him, now carelessly thrown on a chair. All the love I had put into making it felt pointless. For years I believed in our love, but at that moment, I saw someone I didn't recognize. My name is Emma Carter. I've been married to Brian for 7 years. We don't have kids, but I thought we were happy together. Brian's job kept him busy, but he always tried to spend time with me on his days off. I didn't complain. I spent my time sewing, knitting, gardening, anything to pass the time while he was away. I thought our life was simple and good. We met because of my dad, who was Brian's boss back then. Brian was charming and hardworking, and my dad liked him. After we got married, Brian asked me to quit my job and focus on our home. "You deserve to relax," he said, "and I'll take care of us." I trusted him and agreed. Life felt peaceful. Every winter, I'd knit scarves and gloves for him, and he'd say they were as nice as store-bought ones. His compliments made me happy and dream of teaching our future kids how to sew someday. But 3 years ago, everything changed. One evening, as I was making dinner, I suddenly felt dizzy and fell. When I woke up, I was in the hospital. Brian was sitting next to me, holding my hand. "You'll be okay," he said, trying to comfort me. But the doctor's words worried me. I had a condition that wasn't life-threatening, but would last my whole life. It was overwhelming, but Brian's support gave me strength. He visited me every day, bringing my sewing supplies to keep me busy. Teaching him how to sew became a fun distraction. His clumsy efforts always made me laugh, and for a while, I believed we'd get through this together. But as months passed, Brian's visits became less frequent. "Work is busy," he'd say when I asked. I tried to understand and kept myself occupied by knitting a pair of gloves to surprise him. The doctors said I might go home by the end of the year, and I planned to give him the gloves as a thank you gift. When Brian finally visited after weeks of being away, I handed him the gloves with excitement. But instead of being happy, he looked annoyed. "Are you still making these?" he asked coldly. "They're just junk now." He tossed them aside and gave me divorce papers. "You'll be out of the hospital soon, and I can't do this anymore. Let's end it here." I was speechless. I stared at the scarf I had made for him, realizing he had never even worn it. The love I had poured into our marriage felt wasted. "Why?" I finally asked. He laughed bitterly. "Isn't it obvious? I only married you because of your dad. Now that he's retired, I have no reason to stick around." I wanted to cry, scream, or do something to show how hurt I was, but I didn't. Instead, I signed the papers and let him leave. After I was discharged, I moved back to my parents' house. My dad was furious when he heard what happened. "How could he do this to you?" he asked angrily. But I didn't want to be angry. I just wanted to start over. A few weeks later, I went to visit the house Brian and I had shared. To my surprise, strangers were living there. They told me Brian had sold the house months ago. Shocked, I called him. "Oh, I forgot to tell you," he said casually. "The money's yours. Consider it a gift." His lack of care hurt more than I could say. I started looking into the house sale and found out something important. While the house was in Brian's name, the land it stood on was owned by my dad. With this information, I made a plan. We arranged a meeting at my parents' home the next week. Brian arrived, acting confident. "Let's keep this simple," he said. "I'll take the money from the house sale, and we'll be done." I smiled and said, "Actually, there's a problem." I handed him a document showing my dad owned the land. "The family who bought the house doesn't own the land. Legally, we could charge them rent or even ask them to leave." Brian's confidence wavered. "What are you saying?" he asked. "The new owners are upset," I explained. "They might take legal action. Their dream home has turned into a nightmare because of you." For the first time, Brian looked worried. "What do you want?" he asked nervously. "The family can buy the land from us," I said, "but you'll pay for it. Or you can buy the house back and pay for the land yourself." Either way, it'll cost you. He turned pale. This isn't fair, he said. Was it fair when you used my illness to get ahead at work? I replied. You've taken enough from me. My dad, who had been quiet, spoke up. Your actions have consequences, Brian. Everyone at the company knows what you've done. Your reputation is ruined. By the end of the meeting, Brian had no choice but to agree. He would pay for the land and compensate me for the emotional pain he caused. The new family was relieved and they got to keep their home. Brian's troubles didn't stop there. Rumors about him spread at work, and he lost the promotion he had been aiming for. Eventually, he resigned in shame. Meanwhile, I started teaching sewing classes. Sharing my love for sewing brought me a happiness I hadn't felt in years. Over the following months, I found joy in the little things. My classes grew, with neighborhood women and even children joining to learn the art of sewing. I no longer felt the emptiness that once filled my days. I realized I had built a new life for myself, one where I was in control. As word spread about my classes, I was invited to host a small sewing workshop at a local community center. It was nerve-wracking at first, but seeing the smiles on people's faces as they learned new skills made it all worth it. One woman even told me that my class had given her the confidence to start her own business. Hearing that warmed my heart in ways I couldn't describe. Meanwhile, Brian's life seemed to unravel further. Former colleagues told my dad that Brian had become a shadow of his former self. Without the support of my family's connections, he struggled to find steady work. The image he had carefully built over the years crumbled, leaving him with nothing but regrets. One day, I received a letter from Brian. It was short and filled with apologies. He admitted to using me and regretted the choices he had made. I don't expect forgiveness, he wrote, but I needed to tell you that I'm sorry. I folded the letter and put it away. While his apology was long overdue, I knew it was time to leave the past behind. Looking back, I realized that losing Brian was a blessing in disguise. He had taken so much from me, but in the process, I found strength I never knew I had. My life was no longer defined by someone else's ambitions or expectations. I was free to create my own happiness. Now, as I sit in my cozy sewing room, surrounded by fabrics and tools, I feel a sense of peace. Life isn't perfect, but it's mine. And for the first time in years, I'm excited about the future. Whatever challenges come my way, I know I'll face them head-on, with confidence.